Well, my very first job was at 16 at McDonald's, local McDonald's, and I was actually the fry girl. So my responsibility was basically, making sure that those fries were hot for those bags on those meals. So. Well, actually, my dad had been out of work that year. He was a self-employed cabinet maker, and so I had senior dues that I had to pay. So my first check went for my senior dues.
Oh, okay.
We try to have staff meetings monthly, and we also have my management team. We meet every Wednesday. I like to stay involved and know what's going on in their departments. I like to create a team environment, and I like for them to be a part of that team, and I like to be there with them and know that if they can call on me for anything that they may need. And we have all of the employees are just super here. I guess the first thing that I would want would be my Bible, which I could read and it would give me comfort and faith. The second thing would be a knife to use to build things or make things and hunt. The third thing would probably be a compass so that I would know my way around the island. That's kind of a hard question. I just recently took this position and relocated to Albany, so haven't had a lot of downtime. Normally, I like working in the yard and gardening. That kind of relieves a lot of stress. I love to cut grass. So I enjoy that because there's no phones and I can totally pretty much block out everything and just have my own thoughts, and it helps me to relax. So I guess when I am able to have free time, I like to get out in the yard and just kind of piddle around and relax and garden or cut grass. I guess it would be my iPhone, and the reason why we have currently 3 branches here in Albany and we have 1 in Columbus. So anytime if I'm at the Columbus office or at one of the other branches, I can always be in touch with all my employees, and they as well as them with me. If there's information that I need to send back to them quickly, I have my phone, or if I need to look at our website for any reason or Google, anything that I may need to find out while I'm out and about, it's just, I don't know how I would make it without my phone.
Father, I'd never got to meet or something.
There is one of our, it's a member that passed away several years ago, and I drew a lot of knowledge from him just in talking with him about his financial background. He started out at Tom's Foods as a vendor and worked on the vending machines, but he acquired a significant amount of wealth over his years, and I always enjoyed him coming into the credit union and just listening to how he acquired his wealth and the decisions he made in his life, and drew a lot of knowledge from him, as far as my own life and in running the credit union, as far as, him making investments. And then he had other small companies and jobs. He had rental property, and I enjoyed listening to how he would diversify his money and his investments. And I thought, to be a man, to start out, with little means, I thought it was very interesting how he had just acquired so much wealth, and just through experience and trial and error, how he he became so wealthy, but at the same time, he was still that same person. To look at him, you would never know that he was such a wealthy man and so smart. Because, a lot of times he would come in just in his overalls and, had been working outside on his tractor but he was so knowledgeable about investments and things like that you would not put the two together. So I was always intrigued by him, and I loved to just sit and listen to him. So, I guess during the way the economy has been the last several years, I would love to get the chance to sit down and talk with him now, to just see, what his thoughts are on where the future, where we're headed. So. I would probably tell them, you don't get to this position overnight. It requires a lot of dedication and hard work, and you constantly have to be learning your field, so to speak, because in this industry, every day there's compliance changes, things that we have to contend with. You also have your competitors. Every day technology is moving so fast, you almost have to stay one step ahead of your competitor. It's just, there's a bank and there's a credit union just about on every corner, and if you don't offer that personal member service and have that relationship, they can pretty much go anywhere, and get the same thing. And I think that's what we try to do here at Members United. We try to offer that personal service and build that relationship with our members, and we try to earn their trust. Because, like I said, you can go on the next corner and get the same services, but I think that relationship and that personal service is what makes all the difference. I wouldn't want to say it was one particular person. I've been lucky enough to have worked with some great women managers, and I have worked for men, but there is a difference. And for me, I could relate more to the women. I had one manager tell me one time, never assume anything. And I always thought that was great advice, because you may assume an employee knows what you want them to do, but until, you can tell them, but then you must observe what they're doing to, ensure that, they are carrying the task out correctly. So I thought that was early on in my career, and I thought that was very good advice, because if you assume, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble pretty quick. But overall, all the managers that I've worked with, I've noticed that it was their hard work and their dedication, and just, in whatever field I was in, listening to the customer or the member and what their needs were, and trying to sell them products or services that they needed, and not, trying to give them something they didn't. So I would say it was just, over the years, just pretty much the dedication of the people I worked for that kind of shaped, my ethics for this field and the things that I wanted to accomplish. And I just kind of drew from, their successes and kind of just, learned from them pretty much. So. I would love to go to Europe, Italy in particular, just to see the countryside. I viewed it online, pictures, and my husband and I, we do plan a trip. I don't know when, but to Europe. I would just love to view the country and just experience the culture. I don't think so. I think I think there's still maybe, as far as breaks, or I think you make your own way through hard work and dedication. You know, I still think though there's still a lot about who you know, and where you know them and what companies. So I don't really think there's. I think pretty much everybody's pretty much on equal footing. There again, it pays to know people in the right places, and that's in any field or any position. If you're trying to get employment at a particular company, a lot of times, you know, it makes a difference if you know someone there. I found that, you know, so I wouldn't say that men versus women, I don't think it makes that difference, any difference. I think it's all about who you know and your work ethic and your dedication.